You can't give what you don't have. If frustration is what you have, that's what you will give to your children. If joy is what you have, that's what you will give to your children. Even when you mean well. I have been at moments where I had to call myself back and say, hey, madam, we're not going down that direction. You're frustrated. Go and take care of yourself. The kid, leave the kids out of this. Don't teach your child to be violent, but at the same time, let them know. Make sure you build their confidence so that they can stand up for themselves where they need to.
With warm welcome to Signals is Gbeminiyi Ali, popularly known as GB. Welcome to Signals on 91.3.
Thank you very much. Good
Okay,
morning,
good
Adewunmi.
morning. Now, this morning we're discussing the joy of motherhood.
That's right. That's
Okay, when they say the joy of motherhood, what do you think? What does it personally mean to you?
okay. The joy of motherhood. A lot of times when people hear joy, they
Mm,
think it means everything is perfect, everything is easy, everything is always happy and smooth.
mm,
But any mother will know that that's not the full picture. Motherhood is not always easy. It will stretch you, it will test you, and sometimes it will overwhelm you. I've been
mm,
there.
mm.
But inside all of that, there is a deep joy that cannot be explained unless you live it. So, motherhood joy, the joy of motherhood for me is not in perfection, it's found in the meaning. And I think the greatest one for me is the legacy. I see my role as a mom, as a parent, as a legacy job. I am building legacy that will outlive me, and that gives me strength, even when, I'm being pulled in different directions, and I feel like I'm losing my mind. So
Okay. Now, Adorable Mom established 2010. It's 16 years.
that's right.
Uh, always and forever. Tell me, that 16
16.
years of Adorable Mom, has that been like?
Whew, it has been a journey.
Mm,
I think just like motherhood itself, it's been a journey, but it's one that I'm so grateful for. It has connected me to hundreds of thousands of women, mothers across the globe, and even fathers as well. And the longer we build this community, the more I see the beauty, the essence of it, and the more driven I am to continue to carry on with the
why did
vision.
we start Adorable Mom? Did your child call you Adorable Mom? But what happened? How did we arrive at that?
Okay, adorable mom. So, one thing I always was keen on children. Somehow, you know, I always tell the story that even for my first degree, I wanted to study medicine. And the only reason was I wanted to become a pediatrician so that I could work with children. So when I started my journey of parenting, I just knew that there was something about this that I wanted to do well. I wanted to get it right. So long story short, I got to a point where I thought, okay, I needed a community of mothers around me. And we could build together, we'll share experience, learn from one another. And that's how Adorable Mom started. And the name came from the one word, respect. So for me, what I guess one of the main things I wanted, the value that was driving my motherhood journey was respect. And respect in the sense that the picture I always had from a young age was I want my children to go to college or leave the house and they would hold on to the values that they have been instead that has been instilled in them at home
Mm,
because they respect their parents.
mm,
That the things they do are they're done because of respect. The ones they don't do also is born out of the respect they have for their parent, that they're not doing anything out of fear. And so I, all my actions, everything I wanted to do was geared towards that someday my children would have that level of respect for me, not when they're toddlers. It's easy for a toddler to respect and
oh
love you.
yes. Oh
But
yes.
you know that see, when they become teenagers and young adults and then finally adults, I wanted them to still have that respect for me. So that's what brought about the name Adorable. So at the time when I was looking for, thinking of what name to give this group, I
Mm.
thought of respectful mom, respected mom, but none of it sat right. Then eventually I looked up the thesaurus and Adorable mom, long story short, Adorable mom was birthed from that. So
Okay.
it came from that value.
Mm. So when kids
Mhm.
have done something naughty
Yeah.
and they want to come and romance you, they just need to say adorable mom.
Well, the truth is, it should really be that easy. But I
Mm,
remember my son, when he was about 10, 11, he looked at me one day and he said, Mommy, you just can never get away with anything with you or get around you anyway, because he had tried everything. And at that point, I didn't even realize, but that stuck with me that day because I was thinking, for a 10-year-old, he must have tried everything he knew to get away with something, but he didn't. So, yes, it means that they would adore you,
mm,
but the boundaries are still there. It means that for me, it means that they understand the boundaries, that they understand that the parent is the authority in the home, that
mm.
I do not compromise on that at all. But on the other hand, they also know that yes, this is a sweet, loving mom that they can always come
No,
to.
let's highlight it and say this is a sweet, loving Nigerian mother.
Absolutely.
Mothers don't change. Now
Absolutely.
with over 300,000 moms worldwide,
Yeah,
I have this figure, and I'm looking at a lot of times people romanticize motherhood,
yeah.
right? And beyond the baby bombs, beyond the photo shoots,
Mhm.
beyond the push gifts, uh, what does real joy look like beyond the highlight moments? You have worked with 300,000 moms, and that's a lot
Absolutely.
of numbers.
Absolutely.
Tell me.
Joy, joy means many things
Hmm,
in motherhood. For me, right now, the stage I'm at with my children is seeing them do something, right, that makes me proud in the sense that it reflects a value that I have instilled in them. And I haven't had a need to tell them what to do. And
hmm.
they're able to do it without or with very little guidance from me because they're young adults now. That gives me joy. When they were babies, just seeing them smile gives joy. So joy means many things. It's not the noise, it's not the excitement all the time. Sometimes it's the quiet, it's the small moments when you watch your child grow, when you watch them think, speak, when you watch them becoming,
Who they
the
are.
version of themselves, who they are. Sometimes I listen to my children, I'm thinking, that's so wise. Where did you get that from? That's so smart and stuff. Even from when they were young. So it's just in those little moments when your heart swells with pride that this is my own, this is my child. And it's just the very little moments, really.
Okay, let's look at the person of the mother, the person of the mother. Uh,
Mm,
a lot of times, and here is going to get a bit. Let's look at the nitty gritty of the person of a mother.
mm,
Some say it's not every woman that is maternal. Some say that every woman that has a child is not a mother. Some say that people who don't have children, women who don't have children, can
mm,
also have that motherly instinct. Now, science, we have the IVF, we have the vaginal birth, we have the CS, we have it. Science has made it easy, right? And it's a lot of ups and downs.
that's
Now,
good.
you've worked with these women, absolute women. Tell us about the person of the mother. There is motherhood, but there's a person behind the mother.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, I always define it this way. Any woman who loves children, because when people ask me who's adorable mom for, I say it's for every woman who loves children.
And
The
there's some
only,
women who don't want to have kids, not because of anything.
absolutely,
They just don't
absolutely.
want, but they love children.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I say it's for any woman who loves children and wants to do right by them, who wants to instill that, some values to them, or who just wants to love them. Sometimes that's all the child needs. Just someone who would love them, who
Hmm.
would see them,
Hmm.
someone who just can make their hearts,
Bust for joy.
what's for joy, exactly. So it doesn't have to be a biological mother or
Hmm.
someone who has birthed the child. It could be just anybody. So long as you have the power of influence over a child, I always say Adorable Mom is open to you. The only place we draw a line is that you have to be over 18
No,
for obvious reasons, that you have to be an adult. But once you're an
it's
adult,
still a child. Okay, teen is still a child.
Well, 18 is a child, but
Uh,
legally, from 18 upwards, you're an adult. So once you have the power of influence over a child, that's the rule for me. And some parents or some mothers have children and they don't have the capacity to raise a healthy child. Some don't, and they have the capacity to influence a child positively. So some of these things, yeah, that I see. Once you love a child and you have the power of influence and are able to use it well, for me, then you're worthy of being called a mother.
aha. Okay, so that is sorted. If you can love a child properly, oh,
Properly, properly
and if properly
influence them and
influence
influence them
them,
positively. Yes,
because sometimes there's always a disconnect where some
absolutely.
people will say that because you didn't give birth to the child, you don't know what it feels like. And I
Oh,
tell us, you've walked
oh,
that journey.
absolutely. Absolutely not. Absolutely. I work with children all the time and I'm able to connect with them. Even though I have mine, I'm able to connect with them because I see the future in that child. Every child I relate with, I see the future in them. I see the 40-year-old, the 50-year-old. In fact, sometimes I see the governors in them, the president, and I relate with them based on that. And you really don't, and it's not because I'm a mother, it's because I have that understanding that this is a future sitting right in front of me. So you don't have to birth a child to be a mom or to have what it takes to be. There are a lot of people who influence us without having
Yes.
blood relations, to us. And so, yes, yeah.
Mm. So
Mhm.
children, they can get. So I'm saying this because I have this. I have my one of my staff's daughter. She tests boundaries. My
Absolutely.
goodness, she can test boundaries. So the moment you promise, and I think I'm a culprit here. The moment I promise, I'm not going to beat you, the child will now decide that I will push your button. Where do we draw the line between a child who knows? Because I believe that, and I may be wrong, and
Yeah.
you're here with us to walk us through. I believe that children know what they are doing.
Right.
Because I've constantly watched children grow. Like, but then what what makes a child do good now? So an example, I said this holiday period, oh, no phones, and you're going to write 1 to 1,000. She was dribbling me. I looked at her. I said, me and you, right? And then she wrote the 1 to 1,000 after dribbling me. Then I said, okay, fine. The next one is write 1,000 to 2,000. The mother looked at me like this. I said, see, that's what she's going to do. And then she was writing, and all of a sudden, she just started to throw tantrums. And I mean, serious tantrums. You will almost think that you had beat anybody watching, was like, Oshodi has gone to beat the child. And then the child kept saying, I don't know what to write. And yet she was writing. And I'm like, somebody ever me.
I hear that. Absolutely. And you see, I always say that's what children do. That's what they're meant to do. They're meant to test boundaries.
Hmm.
So let me start this way.
Yes.
If I had my way, right, I will be employed, make sure that I'm earning seven figures if possible. Right.
Seventy
And
billion. Just say it out.
yeah,
Say it
70,
out.
okay, in Naira, 70
In
billion. Okay.
dollars.
In dollars. Yeah, I was talking in dollars. Okay. So, and I will make sure that I go to work whenever I want to. I shop on Monday and then you see me in November because I can. But you see, I can't do that because there are certain policies that have been put in place. If
Hmm.
you're signing up for this employment, we're hiring you for this period of time. This is
Motherhood
what
employment.
this is what we
Motherhood
expect.
employment.
Yeah, so there are rules and guidelines for what is expected of you at work.
Hmm.
And I always tell parents, it's the intentionality behind that. So if you see yourself as the authority in the home, make sure your child understands what is expected in this space. So, they're on holiday, for example. I I would have a routine for them when they're on holidays, and they know that's the routine. Now you do X, Y, Z to do A, B, C.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, if you don't do X, Y, Z, you understand what the consequences are.
Hmm.
And then I'm not going to threaten you. You're just going to be told this is what is expected. So you know what is expected. If you go out of line, you also know what will come after that. But a lot of times we just go with the flow. So the child is testing boundaries. And what they're doing in that moment is they're becoming.
Hmm.
So the child wants to know, what can I get away with? All right. So my employer says, be at work at 9. I show up at 11. And they just say, hi, GB, you're welcome. They don't say anything. The next day, I'm going to try and come in at 11:10. And I will come in at 12 until you tell me, hey, if you're not in by the 9 o'clock that we expect you, we're going to cut your pay. Then I think, okay, I need to show up on time, or there's going to be a warning and stuff like that. So it's the same. I always say, use the same principle at home. Make sure your child knows what is expected of them. And the first time they cross that boundary, make sure they don't get away with it. Because if they get away with it that first time, they
Okay.
will do it many times. Because what they're just doing is they're experimenting, if you wish. They want to know, what can I get away with it? That's why you would see some children will try certain things with Auntie A, but they won't with Auntie B. Because Auntie B made them understand that you don't cross this line with me from the jump. But Auntie A was all loving and they could get away with it, so they'll keep trying. So with that child, if it takes 100 attempts to establish that I am not backing down, I will go through it with you. The example I gave earlier with my son, he had tried different things at that point, and every time it was the same, he got the same response. And then he realized, look, I'm not getting away with this here. I'll give you a typical example. Children know that when you're on the phone, that's the best time to come and ask you for anything
Yeah.
because you're not paying attention.
What, Alex? Yeah.
Yeah. So they say, Mom, can I have ice cream? No. Then you get on the phone, you're gisting away and you're
Get
carried away.
distracted.
And then you're distracted. And they say, Mom, can I have it? Yeah, go and have it. Go and have it. Let me have peace. They know that when mom is on the phone, that's the best time to go and ask her. But when they come to you and you're on the phone and you say, I said no, and it's still no, and then you carry on with what you're doing, they know that we've tried this 10 times and it's always the same answer, there's no point. So your child is simply becoming in that moment, to summarize it, they are testing boundaries, and that's just them learning what is acceptable around here. So you as the parent, I like to use the word authority a lot now so that parents can understand it, that you are the authority in that space. So you set the pace. This is not acceptable and we're not having it here. And it's always good to make those clear before the child acts out. Because when the child acts out, it's easier to fall back on what has been laid down previously. And if it's a first time, respond to that situation, don't react. Because what we do is we react, we get emotional, we start shouting, and all of that. And the child just is, oh, all noise. They don't really get much of what is happening in that moment.
Okay, so you said respond and not react.
Yeah.
Please send us a WhatsApp message 0809-234-5913. We're discussing Adorable Mom, the Joy of Motherhood with GB. I'm used to Gbeminiyi Alli, so
Wonderful.
send us a WhatsApp message because again I can't pick calls for now. Now, please walk us through the meaning of respond and react.
Okay, very good. So again, I'll go back to the employer. Okay.
Hmm.
If you go into work and you're late, okay, in a corporate space, what would happen is most likely your manager will call you in. In some instances, you just get an email.
Hmm.
Your manager doesn't stand at the door and start to shout at you in civilized spaces. They
Hmm.
don't start shouting at you and or get you to kneel down or do some sort of things. There's structure in place that says if you're late, this is what will happen. So I say, okay, at home as well, do the same thing. Your child has done something wrong. What happens in the moment when you're reacting is you're getting emotional. Oh, this child, either the fear of, oh, this child is embarrassing me, or this child hasn't listened to my instructions, or whatever, or you're just upset, you're angry, whatever it is, emotions kick in, and then you react to that situation.
Hmm.
But the response is calm, but firm. So calm is not the same thing as passive. Calm, but firm. My children, especially when they were younger, they knew the difference between when I'm speaking to them and playing and when the tone changes without me raising my voice. There's a firmness to my tone. I'm not raising my voice, but it's firm. And I'm not joking in this moment. This is what I mean in this moment. And you understand it.
Hmm.
and I'm not going to get into a match with you.
mm,
Moments when you would get into a match, it's just emotions against emotions. The child is emotional, you're emotional. That's why they will repeat it a second time.
mm,
But when you're calm, you're able to see clearly and see through. So sometimes it calm could just mean for me, I'm listening to you. You said everything. I was working with a child at one time, and she had gone on and told me all these stories, and I kept quiet. I was listening to her all through. There's two of them in this situation, and the other person was reacting. So I said to her, "No, hold on, let her finish." And then by the time she was done, I picked the holes from what she had said and pointed it back to her, and that just resolved the situation. But if I had reacted, I would have missed those holes, reacted based on how I was feeling in that moment, and that child will still do it again. The only difference is they'll be looking for how to do it without getting caught or without having to come back into that same space with me to address that issue, but they would still do it again.
mm. Okay. Um, hmm, hmm. Calm but firm.
Very firm.
Calm but firm.
Calm, but firm. Yeah.
Now we look at children, and children are very dynamic. Children are different from one another. And having worked with children too, I know you've worked with children and constantly work with children and moms, is when do we see that a child will turn out well? And when do we see that in as much as the child, so I'm looking at it with, in the recent times, we've had a lot of bullying happen in schools,
Yeah.
and it's been coming out. And I saw the recent video of a student beating another student. And because again, you've worked with teenagers, and the child that was beaten and the child who was being beaten were different. The child who was beating someone walked out majestically. And I'm wondering, okay, where's that effrontery coming from? And the child who was really badly beaten has almost, the spirit is broken. In these two instances, what is working in their minds? Because I'm trying to rationalize what is going on through, because I see this young child, this student, this teenager who should be remorseful, feeling like being there, done that. And then they beg the child who's being bullied to sorry. And I'm wondering as how.
Yeah. So children are very different.
Mm,
Even in the same family, that scenario could have taken place in the same family where it's two brothers in that situation. Now,
mm,
there are many factors that play out. The birth order plays out for many different reasons, and the nature of a child also plays out. Now, what has happened is over the years, each child has been taught again how to become who they now are. It could be as simple as the parents of the child who was being beaten meant well, but they taught him to be subservient. So over time, they may have been pacifying him when someone was bullying him or harassing him in the house and saying, "Look, just overlook it. It doesn't matter. Just bear with him. He's your brother. Just do this." And over time, the child has just learned to take it in and not express his own frustration or whatever the case. And some parents will tell you, "Look, don't hit another child." Again, they mean well. But then there's another child on the other end who has not been cautioned in that direction, where based on the environment, based on many other factors, they express themselves with anger. And for them, that is what gives them joy and power.
mm,
And so you have these two children now in a situation where one is expressing that and the other is expressing what he knows. So what I always advocate for is balance. Don't teach your child to be violent, but at the same time, let them know. Make sure you build their confidence so that they can stand up for themselves where they need to. The child who has picked on the other child already knew who was picking on.
mm,
He didn't pick a random person.
mm, mm, mm,
He didn't.
mm,
From the first day, from the first interaction, he already knew that this one doesn't know how to respond back to me, so
mm.
I'll go for him. But
Bec-
if he approached someone who knew how to respond to him from the first day, he wouldn't try that with him. So it's important that as parents we balance this at home for our children. Yes, we mustn't teach our children to be violent, but
because now,
but
sorry to cut you.
yeah.
Because now we now have parents who are saying, if you beat my child, the child will beat you. No child will come back home. If you, it's almost like we are all reacting, and legitimately so, because again we have children, right?
Yes.
But it's almost like it's not aura for aura. If they hit you, hit your own back. When I was growing up, if you go back home and you tell them that they beat you, they will beat you first.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And then you have to explain you have to explain how you got yourself in that situation.
True.
Yeah. So again, it's balance.
Mm.
It's balance. I would never say to my child, hit that child back. All right. But I've instilled the confidence in you so that before the child even raises his hand, he knows not to try it with you.
Mm. Mm. I like that. So we have like, let me quickly give you three rapid questions back to back. One, how can mothers, because it's adorable moms, I'm supposed to put, how can mothers and fathers here? But okay,
Yep, it's open, it's parenting at the end of the
how
day.
can
Yeah.
parenting, yes, that's how can parenting raise confident and emotionally secure children in today's world? That's one. How can moms build support system, especially when they feel isolated?
Mm. Okay. So when you feel isolated,
Yeah.
I don't ask the person, why do you feel isolated? How did we get there? And all that. But the truth is, there are people out there like that are like you. If being isolated came from your experience,
Mm.
well, I don't know what it is really, but there are people out there. So you'd have to step out of your shell. And there are many communities. If you don't want to do in person, maybe you're shy and all of that, join an online community and be active in there. Before long, you'll find someone who's like mind that you can
Relate.
build a closer community with and relate with. Like on Adorable Mom, I know that many, many women have become sisters over the years just by being on the platform. And I see them doing things together, even offline, off the page and all that. And it gives me joy. So yes, you can find online communities and start with that and build sisterhood from there. But no parent should raise children alone. It takes a village to raise a child, and that is still very true. So that's why we say that, look, we are your digital village, and we can walk this journey together.
Okay
Now,
then.
the question
Um,
of how do you raise confident children
and emotionally secure children.
and emotionally secure children? It's in the things you do with them at home. You'd have to be very intentional. How you speak to them, how you react to them, how you respond to them. A while ago, I asked my children, if anyone told you outside that you were not beautiful, what would you do? And the smile that came before the response gave me joy and gave me all that I needed to know. Why? I tell them they're beautiful, not because they're my children, because I honestly see the beauty in them. I find things to point to, not just general praise. If they did something well, oh, I appreciate you doing that for me. You did this well,
Mm.
even if they didn't do a part of it right. So how you speak to them, the things you say to them, remind them of who they are. Identity is very important. Make sure you build their identity. They must know who they are, their culture, where they come from, who you see them becoming.
Mm.
Make sure that they know it. Tell them that they're great people. Speak life into them. So how you speak to them, things you do with them at home, it's a journey of well, many years, but eventually you would wake up one day and you would see that you have raised a very confident child.
Mm. Now we have a lot of adults who they are. So I'll say this in English, but it's coming to my head in Yoruba.
Yeah.
Um, who their omonu has not that, meaning that their inner
Oh,
child
your
has not
inner child.
grown.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there are many adults
Yeah.
because that inner child was not well nurtured
Mm.
when they were younger. And so a part of them is still craving. For some of us, it's the love that we didn't get that we're looking for. For some of us, it's the validation that we didn't get that we're looking for. For some of us, it's so many things. So a child needs a lot of things. Think of it as a bucket.
Mm.
And every day that that child lives under your roof, you're filling that bucket. You're either filling it or you're drilling holes into the bucket.
Mm.
And so you must be intentional about filling that bucket, fill it with as much of love as you can. Even when they've done something wrong, let them know that your correction is coming from a place of love. There's a way to do it that the child will know that you're correcting them because you love them. They may not know it in that instance, but eventually they will get it. So whatever you do, make sure you're filling that bucket of love every single day because that child is becoming every single day.
Hmm. The signals are
And
at 1.3. Um, Signals on 91.3. We're discussing the joy of motherhood with Gbeminiyi Alli, popularly known as GB of Adorable Mom. She has a digital village of more than 300,000 moms. Right. Now, if you have questions, comment 0704 700 9913, or you send us a WhatsApp message 0809 234 5913. Now, there's a thing with trauma bonding between a mother and a child. Where do we draw the line? Because the moment a mother is not happy, there's a pressure automatically on the child. And you see where there's a conversation that, okay, a mom, I don't like to call single moms mom, I just call them mothers. The fact that you are a mother, right? And there's that this, how do I put this? You understand what I mean? Is my hands are I'm looking for the right words. So much intertwined in
The
that.
bond, yeah.
The bond is so. How do we ensure that? Because a lot of moms are trauma bonding with their children. So
Absolutely.
you love them, but you can't release them. And then the child too cannot move away so far. So where is the line of training a child properly? Not turning your children into your husband and wives. Can't look for boyfriend and girlfriend. You just can't look for somebody else. Leave the children, because it's by the time a child grows up, the that oh yeah.
So my answer to that would be parenting starts with you. You cannot give what you don't have. So if you're trauma bonding with your child, you're lacking something, and that's why you're looking for it in your child. So I always say to every parent, it starts with you. Look inwards. What do I have? Now, you must get to a point where you can be honest with yourself and know what you have. Now,
Mm,
there are things that you're lacking. Find those things so that your own bucket is full. Now
mm,
you can pour into your child. But if it's not full, there is no way you're going to escape not trauma bonding with your
mm,
child. If you need healing in any area, if you need love, if you need whatever you need, that is part of your responsibility as the adult. Again, I always like to liken parenting with business or with work. So an employer, right, doesn't have maybe the materials that you need at work. A good employer will not sit with their employee and start lamenting
mm,
and wondering how do we get. They get to work.
mm,
And so we need to have X, Y, Z, and then they set a target. Now, some businesses get to a point where they realize we can't do this alone. Do you know what they do? They have a board of directors. Then they have meetings and they say, look, this is where we're heading. This is what we don't have. This is what we need to find.
mm,
How do we get it? If it's new stuff that we need, we go and apply. So basically, the same applies again to parenting. What do you have? Use that. What don't you have? Go get it. So that when you have all that, you can become, again, I use the word, the authority that your child needs. And once you have all that, everything else becomes easy. You know, you're raising this child for a reason. Eventually, they will fly the nest. By the
yes.
time they fly the nest, you would have done the job that makes you confident that they will do well in the outside world. And you would always still be there for them to come back home whenever they need. If it's a hug they need, if it's a cup of tea, if it's just advice, you know that you'll be there to support them then in their own journey as they carry on in their adulthood.
Okay, we have a message, and it goes, what advice would you give to moms who want to build something meaningful while raising their families?
Okay. So, my advice is there's this popular saying, and that helped me because you can imagine I was raising my young children while I was building Adorable Mom and everything else that I was doing at the time in my life.
Mm,
And one thing that grounded me was this saying, it's one of the four agreements, right, which says you give your best. And your best today might not be the best tomorrow. But tomorrow, when you wake up, give your best. In
mm,
a year's time, give your best. So I learned that today, my best might mean that I would show up fully for my family, but
mm,
I may not show up for Adorable Mom. So I do that. My best tomorrow may mean that, okay, we need to put Adorable Mom slightly up on the top of the list. We do that, and I give it my all in that moment. So
mm,
the truth is, I don't think you can do everything well every time, all the time. Some things would have to take the back burner while some lead. So you would have to find balance between that. And secondly, you will need a support system.
System.
I couldn't possibly be here today without my support system. I love them. I appreciate them. I always celebrate them. The people that keep me grounded. So you do need a support system to be able to balance things. Those would be my first two things to say to you.
Okay, then another message is, hi Oshodi, thank you for this session. I'm enjoying it. Please ask the guest this question. I have seen baggage of trauma in my girlfriend. I love her, but won't this affect us raising our unborn children in the best way, devoid of trauma? Trauma. I don't want to transfer trauma. Thank you. You didn't put your name. Zesty Z. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't.
I can't promise you that that won't happen because
Speak
again,
up.
like I
Speak,
said,
speak, speak.
you can't give what you don't have. If frustration is what you have, that's what you will give to your children. If joy is what you have, that's what you will give to your children, even when you mean well.
Hmm.
Even when you mean well. I mean, I have been at moments where I had to call myself back and say, hey, madam, we're not going down that direction. You're frustrated. Go and take care of yourself. The kid, leave the kids out of this. So if you have someone who has trauma and you've identified that, help them find healing, help them heal, and then you can discuss parenting as well. And don't leave parenting to chance.
Hmm.
Plan ahead. All right, make sure that you have a sit down with them, understand what her perspectives would be for different things, for parenting, for discipline, and a whole lot more. But help her get healing because you really can't give what you don't have.
Okay. Um, our time is almost over. Still speaking on this trauma, because I've seen children carry their parents' trauma without
Absolutely.
them. And I've
Big
seen
word.
where I myself, I've seen where I'm visiting a child, I'm like, this child is not your problem. Like, like the way you call yourself, like you rightly said, like, Oga, this child is not your problem. So at certain points, we see one another and like, okay, this person. So even when I see parents and they're trying, but again, culture has a heavy load on parents. And so you're listening to different voices and you don't know how to navigate it. And you're like, hey, God, are you doing it right? And so I see new mothers, I see older mothers, and I'm like, see, you people, just know that if you're having headache, it's not the child that caused your headache. It's
Mm-mm.
having to, and like you rightly said, having to separate emotions and not to transfer. And but there's
Yeah.
some people that you have said that the man should help the government. Some people cannot be helped. So
Very true. Absolutely. Very true. I mean, there's a Yoruba adage that says it's a child who lifts their arms that
carry.
you can carry. So yes, absolutely. I understand that. Yes, that's why it's important that he has that conversation with her
Mm,
and be sure that this is a load that he can carry,
carry. Hmm.
right? And that you can help her. However, if she's not at the point where she can be helped, then you might need to find alternative options
Or
to
you
reach her first.
or you become the present parent.
Or you become the present parent and make up for what she doesn't have. But yes, you do need to sit down and make sure that you're clear about the decision that you want to make before you go ahead with it.
Okay. There's another question. It says, what narrative around motherhood would you like to change?
The narrative that you need to yell and beat your child before you can instill discipline in them. I'm always very happy when I see Africans who would tell you that their parents have never raised their hands to beat them. Because I can tell you, I don't remember my father ever raising his hands. I remember a whole lot about him. I talk about my parents a lot, So I would love to change that because the truth is it doesn't really work as much. And that's why a lot of us are broken. And
Mm.
even if it did work, what I always say now is there was a time when my grandmother, God bless her memory, would not eat my stew because I am blending the pepper in a blender. It would have to be the grinding stone. There was a generation that would
Ah,
not eat your
no
blended
way. That was
blender.
heavy. Eh?
Absolutely. There was a
No.
generation, exactly. So I'm sure that that generation will not eat your pepper because it will not taste the same. And I know it doesn't taste the same either. However, life has moved on. To grind No, please, let me do this one first. We are on it when we have a special ceremony. Okay. There was a time when we had to go to NITEL office to call, to
Mm,
make calls abroad. All
true.
right. There were times when we had to wait till 4 p.m. to watch TV. Long story cut short, times have changed. So even if there was a time when that worked, when people rode horses, not flew planes, right? There were times when that worked, but we're in a new dispensation. So it's important that you understand that what worked then may not work now, and you need to raise the child that you have now for the time that they would live in, not the time that our forefathers or we lived in. So that's one thing that I would love to change. I'd love for parents to understand that we need to raise our children for the times that they're in now so that we can look back in the future and be proud of the work that we have done.
Okay, two more. Thank you for your selfless service always, Oshodi. Thank you. Two, today's program is touching and educating. Well done, Mr. Oshodi. Thank you. Um, my time is almost up, but let's just do this
Okay.
one thing.
Okay.
Um, you have created a massive 300,000 moms digital village. What are you leaving to be moms? Because every day they are giving birth. That's a cry of a child being born, right?
Mhm.
What's that one thing that you want to leave with the new to be moms? The old ones, you people who got me dealing with that. These ones that are coming.
Okay, what I want to say to them is legacy.
Mm.
You're building legacy. Understand what the word means. When people hear legacy, they think wealth. No, legacy is a whole lot more than that. I taught my community on legacy last year. It's
Mm.
a whole lot more than that. Understand what legacy means. Understand that you've been given a plain slate in that newborn child,
Mm.
and what you do with that child will translate into the many things that will happen. Because the truth is, our children are our future. And this future is dependent on every single one of us. So, whatever we do in the corners of our home will eventually affect the society and the community. So, build legacy through your child and through your parenting journey.
Okay. Thank you very much, Gemini Ali. GB, popularly known as GB. It's me, so don't worry. And shout out to VNI team for this introduction.
Yeah.
Hmm. 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 The joy of motherhood to everyone who is so my time is up. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Mhm.
Thank
We will still
you.
do part two. This one we will do part two. It's compulsory.
Anytime.
Because again for teenagers, it's okay.
Yes.
To everyone who's listening, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing this journey with us. To every new mom, hi Oshodi, please, how can parents solve their generational traumas? Michael from Lagos, she will come back. I promise you, she will come and answer all these questions. I promise. She will come back to answer these questions, and we'll look at it again in May. Third Saturday in May. She will come back third Saturday in May, I promise, so that she can
Okay.
answer all of these questions. This one is beyond me right now. So to every woman, to every father, to every new parent, to every trying to conceive mother and father, the journey continues. And to every child who's looking, to every adult whose child has not grown, I say something to myself, and I'm going to share this every day. So when things happen and I'm in a rush, I just say, madam, a day at a time. So we cannot, life is too big for us to want to crunch it in 2 minutes. I tell myself, and I'm going to share that with you, a day at a time. Have a wonderful week. Stay alive, and God bless. Thank you again, Gbeminiyi Alli, founder and president of Adorable Mom, popularly known as GB. Have a wonderful week, and God bless.
God bless you. Take care. Thanks for having me.